The FBI just got involved with professional basketball, and commissioners are being summoned to answer questions. We're talking federal investigations, subpoenas for phone records, and allegations that could shake both leagues to their core. This isn't some tabloid rumor or social media speculation. Federal authorities are requesting documents, schedules, and evidence from multiple teams. The sports world just got very serious, very fast. Before we get into the details, drop a comment. Do you think gambling scandals in professional sports are more common than we realize? Or is this just the tip of the iceberg? Information coming out about this whole NBA scandalous situation. The WNBA is at the front line of it all too, because they is connected to this league. Now I have heard it tell you, the FBI is let to be known. They want phone records, schedules, the whole shebang. Now we know just a couple of days ago, it was reported that none other than Adam Silver had to meet with the committee to discuss this whole situation evolving. So the FBI is now officially involved in investigating the NBA and, by extension, the WNBA. This isn't a league internal matter anymore. This isn't something that's going to be handled quietly behind closed doors with a few fines and suspensions. We're talking about federal authorities requesting phone records, schedules, documents, and property from multiple teams. The Department of Justice is involved. Congressional committees are asking questions. This is as serious as it gets. Let's start with what we know for sure. According to multiple reports, including breaking news from The Athletic, the NBA has been requesting records and property from numerous teams, with the Los Angeles Lakers being specifically mentioned. Why the Lakers? Well, we'll get to that. But the important thing to understand is that this isn't just about one team. Multiple franchises are being investigated. The Lakers are just the most high-profile name that's been leaked so far. 2 Lakers staff members have already cooperated with investigators by turning over their mobile phones. We're talking about Mike Manches, who works with the team, and Randy Mims, an executive administrator. They handed over their phones voluntarily, which tells you they either have nothing to hide, or they were advised by lawyers that cooperation is the best strategy. Either way, federal investigators now have access to communications, messages, calls, everything on those devices. Now, you might be wondering what exactly is being investigated here. The core issue is sports gambling, and whether players, coaches, or staff members were involved in sharing inside information to help bettors win money. This goes way beyond just placing bets, which would be bad enough. We're talking about potential conspiracy to defraud, using personal and privileged information for financial gain, and possibly even game manipulation. These are federal crimes, not just league violations. The investigation gained major traction after federal charges were filed against some pretty significant figures. Terry Rozier, a guard for the Miami Heat, was arrested and charged. Chauncey Billups, head coach of the Portland Trail Blazers, was also implicated. These aren't fringe players or low-level assistants. These are established names in the NBA. When coaches and active players are being charged by federal authorities, you know this goes deep. But here's where it gets even more interesting. Congressional committees have been questioning the NBA about why the league failed to relay evidence that players and coaches were involved in the scheme. That means the NBA knew something was going on, or at least had information about it, and didn't properly report it to authorities. That's a massive problem. That's potential obstruction, or at minimum, a PR disaster that makes the league look complicit or incompetent. The Lakers keep getting mentioned specifically because of connections to LeBron James. One of the people charged in this investigation is Damon Jones, a former NBA player who happens to be a friend of LeBron and has coached alongside him in various capacities. Now, nobody is directly accusing LeBron of anything illegal, but federal investigators are requesting documents from at least 10 Lakers employees because of these connections. When you're friends with someone under federal investigation, authorities want to know what you knew and when you knew it. Some people online are speculating that this is why LeBron hasn't been playing much recently. Maybe he's dealing with legal issues behind the scenes. Maybe he's being advised by lawyers to keep a low profile. Or maybe he's just dealing with normal injury management and this is all coincidental. But when federal gambling investigations are swirling around your organization and people you know are getting charged, the speculation writes itself. Now let's talk about the WNBA angle, because this absolutely affects them too. The WNBA operates under the NBA's umbrella. They're connected financially, administratively, and organizationally. If the FBI is investigating gambling and insider information sharing in the NBA, you better believe they're going to look at the WNBA next. The WNBA has had its own controversies this season. Questionable officiating, suspicious calls that changed game outcomes, accusations of bias and favoritism. Nothing has been proven, but fans have been vocal about things not looking right. If federal investigators start looking into whether referees or team personnel were sharing information with gamblers, the WNBA could face serious scrutiny. The league is smaller, which might actually make illegal activity easier to coordinate and harder to detect. What makes this investigation so significant is the personal information aspect. Federal charges mention that people were using inside information to help bettors win money. What kind of information? Injury reports that haven't been made public, game plans and strategies. Which players are dealing with personal issues that might affect their performance. Whether a coach is planning to rest starters. All of this information is incredibly valuable to gamblers, and if people inside organizations were sharing it for profit, that's a federal crime. Referees are another angle that makes this investigation concerning. If refs were involved in sharing information or, even worse, manipulating games to benefit certain betting outcomes, that destroys the integrity of the entire sport. We've seen it before in other leagues. Tim Donaghy in the NBA is the most famous example. He was an NBA referee who bet on games he officiated and made calls to affect point spreads. He went to federal prison for it. If something similar is happening now, it would be catastrophic. The NBA has apparently been trying to get ahead of this by contacting teams through their legal departments and requesting documents before the FBI formally demands them. That's a smart legal strategy. Show cooperation, demonstrate transparency, try to control the narrative. But it also suggests the league knows this is bad and is scrambling to limit the damage. You don't lawyer up and start demanding internal documents from 10 different employees on one team unless something serious is happening. The timing of all this is also suspicious. The Dallas Wings just fired their head coach and general manager. Other teams have made sudden personnel changes that seemed odd at the time. Were those moves related to this investigation? Were organizations cutting ties with people they suspected might be involved in illegal gambling activities? We don't know yet, but the timing raises questions. What's really wild is that this story just broke within the last few hours, and it's already making headlines everywhere. The New York Post, major sports networks, social media is exploding with speculation. This isn't going to be a quiet scandal that fades away. This is going to dominate sports news for weeks, possibly months. Federal investigations move slowly and thoroughly. Every phone record, every email, every text message will be examined. Everyone connected to anyone under suspicion will be questioned. For the WNBA specifically, this comes at an absolutely terrible time. The league is already dealing with CBA negotiations that have stalled. Players are uncertain if there will even be a 2026 season. Attendance and viewership were up significantly this past year, but financial stability is still a concern. Now add a federal gambling investigation on top of all that. It's a nightmare scenario for a league that was finally gaining positive momentum. Commissioner Kathy Engelbert is going to have to answer some very difficult questions. If the FBI determines that gambling corruption existed in the WNBA, even on a small scale, the damage to the league's credibility would be severe. Fans need to believe that games are legitimate, that outcomes aren't predetermined or manipulated, that the competition is real. If that trust gets broken, rebuilding it takes years. The congressional scrutiny is particularly concerning. When elected officials start holding hearings about sports leagues failing to report criminal activity, things have gone beyond just a legal problem. It becomes a political issue. It becomes about accountability and transparency. The NBA has billions of dollars in revenue and massive cultural influence. Congress wants to know why a league that powerful wasn't doing more to prevent or report illegal gambling operations. Some people are defending the league, saying they can't possibly monitor every employee's personal communications or prevent every bad actor. That's true to an extent. But when federal prosecutors are charging current players and coaches, when congressional committees are demanding answers, When the FBI is subpoenaing records from multiple teams, it suggests a systemic problem, not just a few isolated incidents. The phrase comprehensive federal investigation keeps appearing in reports, and that should concern everyone involved with professional basketball. Comprehensive means they're looking at everything. Every team, every department, every person who might have had access to valuable information. It means this isn't targeted at one individual or one organization. It means investigators believe the problem is widespread. For players and coaches who had nothing to do with any illegal gambling, this is incredibly frustrating. Their reputations are being questioned through association. Every decision they made on the court is now being second-guessed by fans, wondering if games were fixed. Even if they're completely innocent, the cloud of suspicion hangs over everyone until the investigation concludes and findings are released. The WNBA players, specifically, are probably watching this unfold with growing concern. They're already fighting for better pay, better working conditions, and more respect for their league. Now they have to worry about whether federal gambling investigations will further damage the WNBA's reputation and financial stability. It's not fair to them, but that's the reality of being part of an organization under federal scrutiny. Social media reactions have been predictably intense. Some people are making jokes, some are conspiracy theorizing about which players or coaches knew what, others are genuinely concerned about the future of professional basketball. The comment sections are full of speculation about LeBron, about whether certain games were fixed, about which other teams will be implicated next. It's chaos, and it's only going to get worse as more information comes out. One interesting comment that surfaced in discussions about this was from Sophie Cunningham, though it wasn't directly about the gambling investigation. She talked about how people see players competing intensely on the court, and automatically assume that's what they're like off the court. She said fans need to get to know the players as people, not just as athletes. It's a fair point, and it's particularly relevant now. Just because someone is connected to an investigation doesn't mean they're guilty. Just because federal authorities are asking questions doesn't mean everyone involved did something wrong. But the problem with federal investigations is that they don't care about nuance or public perception. They care about evidence and prosecuting crimes. If people broke laws, they're going to be charged regardless of how likable they are or how much fans support them. That's how the justice system works, and professional athletes aren't exempt from it. The next few weeks are going to be crucial. The NBA and WNBA. Commissioners will likely have to make public statements addressing the investigation. More names will probably be leaked as documents get subpoenaed and phone records get reviewed. Teams will continue to lawyer up and cooperate with authorities because they have no choice, and fans will continue to speculate and debate about what all of this means for the future of professional basketball. So that's where things stand right now with the FBI investigation into professional basketball gambling. Federal authorities are serious, multiple teams are implicated, and both the NBA and WNBA are facing major scrutiny.